have a friend who's going through a very difficult time at the moment, which it has been for a while actually. And much of it is apparently work related. She's a highly professional and competent person who works with students, and she cares about the students. She enjoys engaging with them. She's a very caring person. She cares about the students, and she cares about the quality of the work she does. But she's been completely undermined by the system. It's not an uncommon thing these days. You're not paid to care anymore. You're paid to complete targets and to tick boxes and to prove that you're doing the job you're supposed to do. Sometimes referred to as covering your own backside, or covering the organisation's backside. So her workplace has actually become quite hostile to her own professional values, and she doesn't even have many students to see to, because for various reasons, because of the way the systems have been set up. And she's at a loss. She can't deal with this situation, and she wants to cut down the number of hours that she works there, but they won't even let her do this. And I thought, well, this is rather wonderful. I'd love this situation. She's having a lot of responsibility taken away from her. She actually works in a part of the institution where she's by herself, so she's got nobody physically breathing down her neck. She's tucked away out of sight most of the time. She's been rendered invisible. And I thought, this is actually quite good. You know, if you haven't got many responsibilities, then you can start getting on with your own things. Start using this space to get on with your own things, and to get paid a nice professional salary for it. Well, I don't think my friend sees it this way, because her identity is so much attached to her professional life. I saw it as quite a liberating opportunity, so I don't know if she can switch to that point of view, because her professional identity is essentially dwindling to nothing. If she wants to hang on to that identity, then she will essentially dwindle to nothing in a not a very pleasant way, in a very disturbing way. So it seemed to me here there was a possibility of some kind of liberation here, as she's being forced to realise that she's no longer this particular identity. So it's liberating. It's liberating to realise that you're not who you've been led to believe you are. You're really not all of those things that you identify with. It can be a problem. If you're a parent and your children grow up, you spent so many years, as long as you can remember, being a parent, and your children leave home and get on with their own lives. Well, what do you do then? As a parent, your role has been minimalised, marginalised even. If you're still investing in that role, then there are going to be problems. So this is another way of looking at no birth. No birth is the theme of these verses. These last few verses, it's the theme that's been hammered home. And Our only response to it can be liberation, realization. The term itself, no birth, might just leave you drawing a blank, which is why I gave a couple of analogous examples to see that there's a liberating potential here. We can take this liberating potential to its maximum degree, as the next verse points out, verse 594. No external existence, no non-existence, not even the grasping of mind. Things are like a dream, a hairnet, Maya, the city of Gandharvas, a mirage. The abandonment of all the philosophical views, this is what characterises no birth. So, this personal identity that we identify with is just a small part of the picture. We only are inclined to do this because we believe there's a world out there and we need to define ourselves with respect to it and hopefully find some fulfillment in that. But the theme of the last few verses has been very much telling us that there is no external world. It's a mental construction. That's what we relate to. We relate to mental constructions. We relate to our thoughts and our ideas. These fuel our feelings, and then our feelings fuel our thoughts and ideas. So there's no external existence, and there's no non-existence either. We don't get into denying the world, because there's something obviously going on. There's definitely something going on. It's just that what is going on is not what we think it is. It's not what we think it is. Not even the grasping of mind. Well, this is quite shocking, because this is the whole basis of Buddhist practice, to free ourselves from the grasping mind. But again, all this is just a story. The story of liberation. Our only response to this is the realization of no birth. Drop all those things which we regard as important, as real, and realize they don't have any existence. We realize no birth. And we get the usual analogies here. Things are like a dream, a hairnet, Maya. We've had this list very many times, but we just regard it as a dream. So all the factors of our waking state are also there in the dream state. We take it all as real. We get emotionally caught up in it. We experience tragedy and pain and joy. The dream is obviously something, it's something that's going on, but it's not what we thought it was. So we afterwards slap the label dream on that experience and can put it behind us. So everything that's going on, or our take on what is going on, we can describe as samsara and put it behind us and come back to that mind which loses itself in its dreams, which loses itself in its constructions, its mental constructions, thought constructions, its ideas and theories and understandings and beliefs. The abandonment of all philosophical views. And you're a philosopher, you have an idea about things, you're trying to figure things out. You can drop that. The most fundamental view that you can drop is that all of this has some significance in its own terms. We can drop our inherent philosophical view in the reality of an external world. we can drop our inherent philosophical view that I am a real person. This is the realization of no birth. And how liberating is that? We're free. Of all limited realities that up to this point have sucked mind itself into them. And verse 595 consolidates this even further. Thus too all these words will be understood, that is, emptiness, having no self-nature, etc. The world is empty, not indeed because of its being empty, because of its being empty in the sense of being unborn. So we have to go beyond all spiritual teachings to realization itself, realization of awareness, of the attention, of the nature of the attention that is operating now as you hear this. So even all spiritual teachings, they have no substance, so that they're empty. At best they are pointers. The world is empty not indeed because of its being empty, because of its being empty in the sense of being unborn. There are various basic teachings in Buddhism to do with impermanence and insubstantiality and so on. And you can get a nice philosophical understanding of that, of these teachings. But really we're not interested in that. We're only interested in the realization that no world came into existence in the first place. We cut through the whole thing in the uncompromising realization of no birth. Although I don't want to leave you hanging here. You kind of think, oh hang on, okay, so there's no birth. But what actually is there? There is something. Perhaps there's nothing wrong with being left hanging, because that's the response of the mind. It's the mind that's being left hanging. But isn't there something that can be connected with? Well, no. But we can come up with some nice metaphors, like the Pure Land, or what I mentioned last time as the rainbow body, which I'll say more about another time. But this attention that we are using now, this is what needs to be explored, looked into. It's this attention in operation which gives birth, or gives apparent birth, to everything. So we need to follow this attention back to what in the last video, in verse 593, was called the seat of mentation. And we have to turn it back. Observe the attention. Observe what it goes out to. And observe its nature. Its capacious nature. Its miraculous nature. Its accepting nature. Its lovingness. I even described it as having a mischievous element at one point. if you're with me up to this point. Then you might have some idea of where I'm going with the metaphor of the rainbow body.